Hello everyone, it's me Ankesh Singh, your biology teacher. Here we are going to discuss about the second section of reproduction in organisms, what we have discussed in the last uh, section or last video itself. This is its continuation only. In the last video we have discussed what is reproduction, what are the different types of reproduction, and then we have seen for a few more things regarding it. Now in this class we'll be discussing about sexual reproduction. As I have mentioned earlier in the previous video, if you haven't gone through that one, please I will recommend to go in that particular video, look after that particular thing and then come here, because each and everything are connected with each other. I have said in the last video that sexual reproduction is quite complex process. So since it is a complex process, we have to divide it into different phases, and that is why we'll divide this whole sexual reproduction into two different lectures. So this is its first lecture and the second lecture will be coming up next. So what is this sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is basically the formation of, sexual reproduction is what? It is the formation of male and female gametes. These gametes fuse with each other to form a single cell zygote. Try to understand. What happens in case of sexual reproduction? In case of sexual reproduction, male produces the male gamete. I have mentioned this one in the last class, that sexual reproduction requires two parents. So one parent is a male parent, the other one is a female parent, right? The male parent produces the male gamete, the female parent produces the female gamete, and these two gametes fuses with each other to form a single cell, and that cell is called what? Zygote. From this single cell zygote, all the organisms, all the animals are produced. Clear? Now this sexual reproduction is a very complex process and it is a very slow process. Just like we have seen that binary fission, it occurs very fast. Budding, it occurs very fast. It has a cyclic period of 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes the organisms reproduce and become matured. But sexual reproduction is not like that. It is a complex process and it is a very slow process. Because of the fusion of the male and female gamete, the sexual reproduction results in the offspring formation which are not identical to the parents. In the last class, when we were studying about the asexual reproduction, we have seen that the new generation that is formed, that new generation looks exactly similar to the previous generation. That is why we term them as what? We term them as clones, right? But in case of sexual reproduction, since the males are producing the male gamete, the females are producing the female gamete, and these two gametes coming from two different sources are fusing with each other, this results in the formation of a new organism. New organism means what? New genetic arrangement of the organism. It is not like two human beings will produce something else. No, two human beings will produce human beings, but the new human being that is produced, the small baby child that is produced, that child will contain a DNA arrangement which is different from their parents. That means the child's DNA arrangement is different from its dad, from its mom. Look after yourself. You are there and you have two parents, mom and dad. You somewhat look like your mom, you somewhat look like your dad, you have some characteristics of your dad, some characteristics of your mom, but you are not similar to any one of them. You are not similar to your dad, you are not similar to your mom. Why? Because they produce the offspring and these offsprings contains a different genetic arrangement. Clear? Now this is sexual reproduction, as I have said earlier, since it is a complex process, we have divided into several events. And that is called what? It is called events of reproduction. The sequential events are grouped into three different stages. So there are three different stages or three different important events of this sexual reproduction. What are these? Pre-fertilization event, fertilization, and post-fertilization event. So that means the important node here is what? It is a fertilization. The important node here is what? Fertilization. Something occurs before fertilization, something occurs after fertilization. Correct? The one which is occurring before fertilization is called pre-fertilization event. One which is occurring after fertilization is called post-fertilization event. Now what is this fertilization? We'll discuss about this particular thing, since it is one of the most important part of this whole sexual reproduction process. We'll discuss it in very details, but for now remember, as I have shared earlier, that this sexual reproduction means what? It is the formation of the male gamete and the female gamete, right? These male gamete and female gamete fuses with each other. I have introduced this term. These gametes fuse with each other. These gametes fuse with each other. This fuse term is nothing but it is called fertilization. So The process which occurs before fertilization is called pre-fertilization event. The process which occurs after fertilization is called post-fertilization event. Correct? So repeat with me once again. There are three different sequential events of this particular process. What are these? Pre-fertilization, fertilization, post-fertilization. Once again, pre-fertilization, fertilization, post-fertilization. Clear? I hope this thing is clear to all of you. Let us move to the next thing. The next thing what we have is this pre-fertilization event. So we here will be discussing about specifically about pre-fertilization event. Now look after to it very carefully. Pre-fertilization event contains two main processes. The whole process of reproduction is divided into three different stages. What are those? Pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization, right? Now this pre-fertilization event is again containing two main processes. What are the two main processes? Gametogenesis, gamete transfer. What are those? Repeat with me. Gametogenesis, gamete transfer. Once again, gametogenesis, gamete transfer. Gametogenesis. What is the term? Gametogenesis. Whenever you are studying biology, I have said this thing in my classes. Those who have attended my class, they know. Those who didn't attend, they are attending right now. So I have said, whenever you study biology, if you get a term, try to break it into small pieces. If you look after your old books now, whenever you are in class like 5, 6, 7, when they introduced you like photosynthesis, digestion and all these things, they used to write like photosynthesis. After they write the term photosynthesis, in bracket they write photo equals to light, synthesis means production, right? We never ever think that why it is written like that. It is very simple. All the high-end biology teachers of all over the world, they always say this term. What is it? That whenever you see a term in biology, if you can break that term into small pieces, then it will be much more easier for you to understand. Similarly here also, what is the total term? Gametogenesis. In this gametogenesis term, we have two different things. One is the term gameto, and the second term is what? Genesis. The second term is what? The second term is genesis. Gameto means gamete, right? And genesis means to produce. So it is basically a process by which gametes are produced. Clear? Now keep one thing in mind. After this chapter, we are going to study about the sexual reproduction in plants. Then we are going to study about the sexual reproduction of animals. In each of these two chapters, we have to go through this pre-fertilization event, fertilization and post-fertilization event. Obviously, these gametogenesis, gamete transfers comes under that particular portion only, right? So what is my point of view here? What I'm trying to say is that these are the basic concepts, what you need to know when we will be building our total construction on this basic concept, that how gametogenesis occurs in case of the plants, how pollen grain is formed, how ovule is formed. At that point of time, these basic concepts are very important for you to keep in your mind. Clear? That is what we are doing here. Here we are not going to see exact gametogenesis process. We are not going to see how pollen grain is formed, how sperm is formed, how ovum is formed, how ovule is formed. No. Here what we are going to see is the basic concept behind this gametogenesis. Clear? Now gametogenesis is what? Gametogenesis is the process of formation of two gametes, that is male gamete and female gamete. Let us revise once again. Sexual reproduction means what? It requires two parents, right? It requires how many parents? Two parents, one male, one female, right? So the formation of the male gamete by the males, the formation of the female gamete by the females is called what? Gametogenesis. Very simple. It's a very simple thing. Very try to understand each and everything very clearly, so that each and everything should go inside your brain once you are done with this whole video. Now these gametes are haploid cells. Now sir, what is this haploid cell? If you know, it's very good. If you don't know, let me try to explain you. Even if you see a cell, inside that cell we have nucleus. Inside the nucleus we have DNA, right? Now whenever you see an organism, now in case of that organism, always remember DNA is always found in pairs. DNA is always found in what? Pairs. That means there is no possibility of having a cell which contains only one single DNA. If a cell contains a pair of DNA, that is called diploid cell. If it contains only one single DNA, that is called haploid cell. Clear? So these gametes are what? These gametes are haploid cell. Let me tell you with an example. Let us suppose I have a cell. Inside this cell, I have two DNAs, and these two DNAs are exact copies of each other. Now, if this cell divides into two cells, and each of the cell contains one single chromosome, then these cells are called diploid cells, and these cells are called haploid cells. Clear? I guess this thing is clear to all of you. Example, in case of humans, 23 pairs of chromosomes are found in case of a normal diploid cell. Now, in case of gametes, how many chromosomes will be found? In each gametes, you will find only 23 chromosomes, not 23 pairs of chromosomes. Clear? If the gametes look similar to each other, obviously yes. If you have any doubts regarding this particular point, you can ask me anytime. Clear? Don't worry, just ask me in the comments. I'll try to clear it in the next video, or if I try to, I will try to clear it in the comments or itself or in the next video. Right? Obviously, at the end of this whole particular section, after the end of this whole particular chapter, we'll take your doubts, and after taking those doubts, we'll try to clear them out. So obviously, if you have any doubts regarding any section of any particular video, just comment it down below, and I can assure you that those doubts can be cleared. Those doubts will be cleared after the end of this chapter. Clear? So gametes are what? They are haploid cells. That means they contain only one set of chromosomes. Now, what are homogametes? Homogametes are those gametes which are both of them are similar. Which both of them? Male gamete, female gamete, right? So male gamete and female gamete, if they are alike, if they are similar to each other, they are called homogametes. If they are different from each other, then they are called heterogametes. Clear? Next, we have a very small section where you need to understand the sexuality in case of organisms, like which organisms are called bisexual, which organisms are called unisexual, and all these different terms. So in case of plants, both male and female reproductive structures can be present on the same plant, then they are called bisexual, and they can be present on different plant, that is called unisexual. Try to understand. I guess you remember flower. Flower contains two different parts. What are the four different parts of the flower? That is calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. I guess you remember this one. It's very simple, very basic thing you have studied in class 10. So calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. In this four different parts, androecium is the male part of the flower, and gynoecium is the female part of the flower. Now, if on a single plant I have a flower, and on that flower I have both androecium and gynoecium, such kind of plants are called what? They are called bisexual plants. Clear? And if this androecium, if I have a flower which contains only androecium in a separate plant, and another plant which contains a flower which contains only gynoecium, then they are called unisexual plants. Clear? Now let us move to the next thing. So the next thing is what? Homothelic and monoecious. What we are doing here? Here we are having some very basic few terms what we need to know in order to go through these particular sections. If I say homothelic, this flower is homothelic, or this flower is monoecious, then what does it mean? It means the bisexual condition. Monoecious. Monoecious means what? In the same plant, both the sexual characters are present, right? If I say dioecious or heterothelic, that means what? Unisexual condition. That means it contains either androecium or gynoecium. Clear? Unisexual male flowers are always called staminate flowers. I guess you remember that androecium are also called stamens. So that is why they are called staminate flower, and unisexual female flower are called pistillate flower, because the female reproductive part is also called pistil other than gynoecium. Clear? Examples of monoecious plant: cucurbita maxima and coconuts, whereas examples of dioecious plant are papaya and date palm. Okay, basic things. So just terminologies, few basic terminologies. Sometimes you will hear different persons to say that biology is very tough. Yeah, why? Because it contains many terms. Yes, I can agree with that thing, that it contains many terms. Yes, it is containing many terms. I agree with that 100%. It contains many terms. But if you understand those terms, then no subject is as easy as this biology. No subject is as scoring as this biology. Why? Because this can give you the eternal bliss that yes, I know the terms, I'm confident, and I can write anything on my own. I don't need to remember anything for writing these things. If I know the concept, if I know the main thing, if I know the main important parts of this whole subject, I can score good marks out of it. So that is what we are doing here. We are not mugging up each and everything. We are understanding, and this understanding will help you to score better in the future exams. Okay, so gametes are haploid in nature because they contain only one set of chromosome, I have said earlier also, but they are produced from the mother cells which are diploid in nature, and they are produced by the process of mitosis. Very core important thing, but written in these 4 lines. Some might think that for biology we need to write paragraphs after paragraph. No, see, in this particular whole one single sentence I have said many things. What is it? Gametes are what? They are haploid. That means they contain only one set of chromosome. That means they contain only one set of chromosome. That means they contain only one set of chromosome. Right? But these gametes are produced from the mother cell or gamete mother cell, which contains a pair of chromosome inside them. These are haploid, these are diploid. So gametes are haploid. Yes, gametes are haploid. They contain only one set of chromosome, but they are produced from where? They are produced from gamete mother cells, which are itself diploid in nature. I'm very sorry. Which are itself what? Diploid in nature. And they are produced by what? They are produced by the process of mitosis. Now few students will be thinking, sir, in case of mitosis, in case of mitosis, it's written wrong here. I don't know why I have written mitosis. It is produced by the process of meiosis. It is produced by the process of meiosis. Now you might be thinking, sir, we have studied mitosis and meiosis in class 11. Okay, okay, fine. So in case of mitosis, it's a different thing. Now you are saying that you have written meiosis. So in case of meiosis, we have seen that a single cell produces 4 haploid cells. But here you are showing only 2. I am showing you just for simplicity. When we'll go deep inside each of these sections, there you will see that how meiosis is occurring in each of these particular cases, in each of these organisms, like male flower, female flower, male humans, female humans. So obviously out there we'll be discussing about those meiosis in a much more broader way, and obviously it's correct that it produces 4 cells, but for simplicity, for making you understand, I'm drawing 2 of them out here. Okay, so don't get me wrong, it's a very simple thing. In order to make you understand, that is why I'm just drawing these things, but it's not exactly the same thing what you're going to see, but yes, it is conceptual, what you need to keep in your mind. So once again, gametes are what? They're haploid, but they are produced from what? They are produced from gamete mother cells, which are itself diploid, and they are produced by the process of what? Meiosis, not mitosis. Don't make mistakes like me. I am a teacher, I can make mistakes, I can just clarify out of it. But if you do a mistake in your exam, the marks will be gone. So what is this process? The process meiosis. Keep in your mind, what is it? It is meiosis. Great. Gamete transfer. Gamete transfer. How to transfer these gametes? How gametes are transferred? So male and female gametes must be brought close to each other in order to facilitate fusion. Now if you think that I'll keep the male gamete here, I'll keep the female gamete here, and they will fuse with each other. No, fusion means what? They have to come close to each other. They have to come close to each other. That means we need to bring them close to each other. In majority of organisms, the male gametes are always motile, but the female gametes are stationary. Keep this thing in your mind. Keep this thing in your mind. Once again, in case of majority of organisms, what happens? The male gametes are motile. They can move from one place to another. Female gametes are stationary. They cannot move from one place to another. Or even if they move very slowly. Right? Now, since the male gametes are motile, we need a medium for these male gametes to move from one place to another. We need what? We need a medium for these male gametes to move from one place to another. In case of algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, water is the medium through which gamete transfer takes place. I guess these terms are not new to all of you because you have studied about all these things in class 11. What is algae? What is bryophyte? What is pteridophyte? So for all these organisms, water is the medium through which gamete transfer occurs. That means the male gametes are transferred to the female gametes. A large number of male gametes fails to reach the female gametes. Listen to it very carefully. A large number of male gametes fails to reach the female gamete. In order to compensate this one, male gametes are produced in huge number. Whenever in this whole living world you will see living organisms, you will see that the living organisms, in case of the living organism, the males are produced the male gametes, the female are producing the female gametes, but male gametes are produced in huge numbers, female gametes are produced in very limited numbers. Why? Because a large number of male gametes fails to reach the female gametes. That is why in order to compensate that thing, we make male gametes produced in huge numbers. Let us try to understand with an example. Suppose I have a small brick in front of you. Small brick. Let us try to understand. We have a small brick in front of you. We have a small, let us suppose we have a small, like this small brick in front of you, right? Now I have given you one single ball and I have asked you to hit that one. You can miss, right? You can miss. But if I give you 1,000 balls together and I ask throw all these 1,000 balls together towards that brick, obviously any one of them will go and hit. So the probability increases. I guess you know the term probability. So the probability increases when we increase the number of male gametes, that it will reach the female gamete very easily. That is why male gametes are produced in huge numbers compared to that of female gametes. Clear? Now this transfer of gametes in case of plants occurs by the term, and the name of the term is pollination. That means the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. And in case of animals, this process of gamete transfer occurs by the process of copulation or intercourse. If you don't know what is the meaning of the term intercourse, you can go and open your dictionary. I will explain about this thing because this is a sensitive topic to discuss. We will discuss about this one, but not now, when we'll be discussing about the human reproductive system. So in case of plants, pollination. In case of animals, copulation. So what is the end result of this pollination or copulation? That is, the male gametes are transferred to the female gametes. This successful transfer of the gametes is very much important for the critical most event of the sexual reproduction, and that is fertilization. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about this fertilization process, how this fertilization occurs, what are the different events of this fertilization, or what is the total view of this fertilization and the post-fertilization events after that. Clear? So thank you all of you. Once again, if you have any doubts anywhere, I think you will have doubt at this particular section, that haploid gamete, diploid mother cell. So yes, it's sure that you will have doubts, and I'm very happy if you have doubts, because I will get much more chance to interact with you all. So obviously ask me in the comments, and yes, those doubts will be cleared at the end of this chapter, so don't worry. Okay, so thank you all of you. See you in the next one. Till then, stay safe at your homes. Thank you everyone.